Crossing live to India now for the latest on a couple of big stories. Amit Doshi is Director of Care Portfolio Managers. Joins us live now from Mumbai on Microsoft Teams. Amit, let's start with the latest on the Gautam Adani crisis. Trading in Mumbai begins in about 6 minutes' time. Yesterday, the stock, Adani Enterprises, down another 27%, lost more than half of its value in the week. How are you reading this one?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously the reaction comes after this research report by the US short seller. So there is going to be, a bit of a panic. And the way I read it is, there's always a game of valuation. So if valuation is significantly high and, there's news breaks like this, or the numbers or the earnings reports is weaker than expected, then generally the downfall is extremely significant. So I think that's the reaction that's coming because of those reports as well, and especially when the valuations are of extremely high, that sort of things are likely to happen. So that's what's happening with the group as of now.
What's the chat among Mumbai investors like yourself and traders and brokers about the Adani situation? Very high profile individual, world's second richest person only a few months ago. And yet we had this report a week ago from Hindenburg in the United States, accusations of fraud and market manipulation. What's the kind of prevailing narrative when you sit around and have a cup of coffee with other investors and hedge fund managers and brokers and traders?
Right. So I think, as I said earlier, also the prime concerns were valuations, and that was the case for quite some time. Of course, these reports allegate far more than that regarding the fraud, the manipulation, the stock price rigging, or heavy leverage. Now, keeping those allegations and fraud, etc., aside, because I don't belong to any sort of, investigating agency, or I have no idea about, the research that the company has done for last 2 years before releasing these reports. But at the same time, we being an investor, as a portfolio manager, we would look for the fundamentals of the company, whether the debt or the, one of the points that has been raised in those reports is about the significant leverage that the company has on its balance sheet, whether that will be repaid, etc., etc. However, I would like to believe Adani Group is a large group. It has 8-10 companies under its group. This thing, whereas there are companies where there are significant assets, which are live, hard, real assets. Whether you go to ports, airports, whether now there was also acquired the cement companies. So those are real assets that the company has and which really generates the cash flows. So one, as an investor or as a fundamental investment analyst, I would like to believe that what is the balance sheet and whether the company has the ability to repay the debt. So I think there are enough assets which are available, and probably the company will find its way to generate enough cash. Based on which obviously various rating agencies, global bonds, domestic banks, domestic institutions have invested money in the company. So I think to that extent there should be a bit of cash flow available, which allows that companies to repay the debt. But yeah, just making a disclaimer, we as an individual capacity, as a portfolio manager who manages funds of clients based out in Dubai and across the world and in India, we have not exposure or not single exposure to Adani Group stocks.
Good to know. Amit, let's move on to the other big story out of India this weekend, which was the union budget. I'll get your thoughts in a second. First of all, though, let's hear from the Finance Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman. This was her speaking at the launch of the budget on Wednesday.
India's rising global profile is because of the several accomplishments: unique world-class digital public infrastructure, COVID vaccination drive in unparalleled scale and speed, proactive role in frontier areas such as achieving the climate-related goals, Mission Life, and National Hydrogen Mission.
Nirmala Sitharaman. Look, she's a politician. She's the finance minister. It's her job to big up the economy. But by the same token, she's kind of right. The IMF says it's the fastest growing economy in the world this year at 6.1%. How are you reading it from a non-partisan, non-political perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So we as a we are a hardcore investor who love our money before investing in any company. So I think as a country, as a India, I think the budget has clearly come out as a very nice fine print. This is typically a last budget, full budget before the next government takes in the next year after post election. Despite being that budget, typically a lot of freebies or social spending is done. I think the government has refrained from doing that and focusing only on the capex and the growth, and keeping at the same time fiscal deficit on the under full control. I think overall, as a scheme of things, definitely big, good growth budget that has been clearly given. And second, while there are not big bang announcements, like some sort of capex, some sort of schemes for these manufacturing entities or etc. But there are small bits and pieces which actually works on the ground level issues, like removing some nitty-gritty issues were duties related to manufacturing sector. The big bag announcement was infrastructure spend. It grew by 33% compared to last year. So they are going to spend 10 lakh crore on infrastructure this financial year. That's again going to be a big booster for the overall as an economy, because it has a significant multiplier effect. And small things like personal taxation relief, which has been granted to even a small taxpayers, as well as they have reduced maximum marginal rate, so reduce the final maximum marginal tax rate by 3%. So that again grants a relief to some extent on the taxation front. And these small things on the manufacturing infrastructure spend, that's going to be a clear cut a growth, which is going to have a multiplier effect in the country as far as the spending is concerned.
Amit, I can hear the police are coming. I'm going to let you go back to that. Amit Doshi joining us live from Mumbai. They're not coming for Amit, I can promise you that. Great conversation, Amit. Appreciate your time. Amit Doshi is Director of Care Portfolio Managers in Mumbai in India, and talking to us, first of all, about the Adani Enterprises situation, and then, of course, the Indian budget. Appreciate your time.